Hi, it's Barbie, and welcome to the middle of the road. So, today we are going to talk about the economy. And I don't mean the economy, and I'm going to talk about GDP numbers and all of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the basic, simple rules like Economy 101, or should be Economy 101, that I don't understand why all these capitalists, well, I think I understand, but it's going to end up biting them in the ass is what's going to happen. But let's get into this. Why are they not pissed about the current economic situation? You know, we talk about the airlines. The airlines are having problems left and right. The FAA is screwed up. There was another near miss the other day between a military plane and a civilian plane. These things keep growing bigger, bigger, and bigger. You've also got the housing industry. And I saw somebody say the other day, oh, well, it's because of so and so that I can't afford a house. No, that's not why you can't afford a house. You cannot look at the presidency and say, oh, well, Biden was the president, and so therefore I can't afford the house because the houses went up. The houses started going up in 2020, but even before then, all of a sudden we'll get into that. It's not because of the presidents. It's because of another thing that's happening here. And it's the money grab. It's the money grab. It's not about politics. They don't give a rat's ass about the politics. Truly. Truly. So, some of these guys are not going to be in the big list on the ones that are going to be the most amount of money. Some of these guys are these medium guys. They're going to make a little bit of money, but they're not going to make near as much as the guys that are at the top that are really pulling the strings. And here's the thing, okay? So what they're doing, what I guess they think they're doing right now, is they're going to grab as much of our money as they possibly can. They're going to grab our land, which they are buying up farms left and right. I think it's a acre something. JD Vance is in charge of that crap. So he's, again, look at who's in charge. What else? Oh, yeah. Okay, so you've got that. You've got interest rates at the way that they are right now, which I have no problem with. I understand why they're there. Okay? You've got a bond market that is falling because of Trump and the tariffs and all that other stuff. And because our economic future doesn't look very good. Well, we've talked before about how Japan's wanting to take their money out and a couple of other people wanting to get their money away from the United States, get their gold out of here. So here's the thing. Let's go down a simple little path, okay? So with the current immigration status, all right, or situation, they say, okay, we want all these brown people out of here, blah, 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 blah. But all these brown people that were not entitled to food stamps, that were not entitled to Medicare or Medicaid, that were not entitled, what was the other thing? Oh, housing. They weren't entitled to that. They weren't entitled to anything. They paid into the system with that green card, but they weren't entitled to any of the benefits that come out of it. All right. To the tune that they paid $950 million in taxes last year, or year before last, I believe it was. No, it was last year, 2024. So they paid all this money in taxes. But okay, so let's look at what that also is. If you think about it, taxes usually run anywhere from 15 to 20% on most Americans. We're not talking about people that are making six figures and all that kind of happy crap. We're talking about everyday Joe that's sitting around trying to figure out how he's ever going to own a house or any of that stuff. So 15 to 20%, depending on how many kids you have, blah, blah, blah. On average, they're also paying 15 to 20% into our economy. So that means that our economy, with this immigration shit that they're pulling, is actually losing $950 million, if not more. And that's just on going to the grocery store. That's just buying groceries. That's just buying gas. That's just going to Home Depot. That's just going to Walmart and buying clothes for the kids. All that clothes money that these Hispanic families, Latino families were buying for their children, they're not going to be buying. And then Walmart's going to get pissed off and say, oh, well, our sales are down. Well, why are our sales are down? I don't know. Maybe first off, it was the DEI thing. But now, wonder what's going to happen. You're losing. You're cutting your own throat. You are cutting your own throat. You know, let's look at the construction situation. Okay? So y'all got rid of all the guys that were actually doing the construction because the white boys don't want to sit out there when it's 100 degrees. And Abbott, of course, here in Texas, he doesn't give a damn if it's 100 degrees or 130 degrees out there. He wants your ass out there working. No breaks for you. That's illegal. We are not going to have that anymore. That's immoral to give people a drink of water and let them sit out of the direct sun. Yeah, that's just wrong. So, according to Abbott. So, the construction thing, y'all screwed that up, right? The investment firms actually had already started screwing up the real estate market in 2020 when they started doing these cash offers on houses instead of going and, somebody says, okay, I'm offering my house for 250. It seems like a fair price compared to blah, 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 right? That's how it's supposed to work. However, these companies were coming along and they'll go, tell you what, we'll give you $50,000 more. $50,000 more. We'll give you $300,000 for the house. Why? Because they were paying cash. They didn't need to worry about an appraisal. They were just paying cash. And then when the next guy goes to sell his house, then all of a sudden his house is valued more than it would have been because now they're using this $300,000 house when it's really valued at $250,000 as a comp to raise the price on this one. Well, if you got $300,000, I can get $300,000 for mine. So then you go up to $300,000. Then the investment firm comes along and they say, because it's like in the same neighborhood, it's all this, perfect. And they go, hey, you know what? We'll give you $325. We'll give you $330. We'll give you $350. They kept outbidding everybody. All the normal everyday citizens, they kept outbidding because they had endless pockets. And then we wonder why the real estate market is the way that it is because it was screwed with. They manipulated the market. Your house is not valued at what it is. It's dropping back down now because what they did is they bought too many houses that they thought they were going to rent out. And then they discovered that, guess what? People can't afford that. That's insane. That's insane. Well, because at the same time that happened, you also had the insurance rates going up. You also had the taxes going up. And why did the taxes go up? Because the value on the houses went up. But the value on the houses didn't go up organically like it was supposed to do. No. The value on the houses went up because they were artificially screwing with the market. And see, they don't understand. If you don't get people, when I was in real estate, here was the thing that I looked at. Me helping somebody get into a house was helping the economy. And here's what I mean by that. When you buy a house, you go to Home Depot, you go to Walmart, you go to JCPenney's to go get those new curtains or those blinds or that whatever. You go to the carpet store so that you can have new flooring put into your house. You don't like that old carpet. They had green. We don't like green. We want blue. So you go to the carpet places. So there's actual like a little micro economy that goes along with that, with you buying houses. I know that sounds really weird, but it's true. As long as the real estate market is ticking along and doing things, people are out and people are buying things. But as soon as you see the real estate market starting to, the rest of it's fixing to. Because that was like the illegals. It's another little micro economy. It's a micro economy. All these little micro economies come together to make one big economy. You see? You see? So you screwed yourself on the illegals. You've screwed yourself. And I don't even know if I want to say illegals. I don't want to say illegals. That's the term that everybody seems to understand. But non-resident citizens, non-resident individuals. Maybe I'll start saying that. Non-resident individuals or green card people. Anyway, you get my point. So back to the real estate thing. So you see how these little economies, but you're screwed up this one, and now you've screwed up the real estate market. So let's talk about the stock market. If you look at the P&Es on most of these companies right now that are soaring, blah, 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 they don't produce a damn thing. They do not. My ex-husband, anyway, my ex-husband gave me a book one time because E-Trade had a game that they would give you a fictitious $25,000 or $10,000. It was fictitious. It was all play. But you get fictitious $10,000 and you get to invest it over the next month. And the guy who actually makes the most money, because they used real-time data off of the stock market, the guy that made the most money won like $1 million or something like that. They held it for a couple of months. Anyway, so because I didn't really understand the market, he went and got me a book called The Stock Market for Dummies. And I think that some of these people out there need to read this because it advises you that if you really want a solid, secure company to invest in, it needs to have a P&E that's like 99 to 1. Anything over that is overvalued. When did it become that it's 250 to 1? There's no value in that company. AOL at the time was, I think, 250 to 1. He invested in that. I invested in Estee Lauder because I knew they were having a sale. Guess who won that month? Between the two of us. I did. I made $25,000 off my $10,000. He made $3,000. So, look at the P&Es. Look at the P&Es of the companies that are out there today. There's no value there. They have sold you on the idea that they are big and they are important and they are doing all these things. But truly what they're doing is they're selling you on the idea that you're just lining their pockets. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's not real anymore. Talked about the bond market, talked about the immigration. Oh, let's talk about food. That's another thing that they've screwed us on, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I've noticed that my grocery store is not really putting out food like they normally put out food. I'm noticing that when I go to Walmart, that I'm not seeing the aisles lined up exactly like they've been, right? Because there's some companies, I guess, that are having problems or don't want to pay the tariffs or the people don't want to take, whatever the situation or issue is, the grocery stores are changing. Now, I understand that some of that has to do with the, immigration situation. But the tariffs are not going to help us. If they're already raising the prices now, that means that when the tariffs actually go into effect, the grocery stores are going to start raising the prices again. Again, do you understand that if you get yourself to a certain point, you're going to end up losing money overall? Your profits are not going to be there because your customers are not going to be able to give you. I want to give you my money, but I want something in return for my money. I want my money's worth. You're not going to give it to me. You're just going to keep raising it up until I just say the hell with it. I'll find something else. I'll figure out some other way of feeding myself rather than going to your grocery store. Again, Every company, every industry that I've talked about so far is all ran by capitalists, by investors, by stockholders. It's going to be great that you've got all this money, but you're not going to be able to leave your house. Do you understand that? Why would you want to drive out of your driveway if all that you saw was famine outside of your gate? What kind of world are you trying to create? Because it seems to me some of y'all need to go back. Yeah, again, y'all need to go back to college, evidently. I mean, you're supposed to be economists and people that are way more educated than I am. And yet, you don't mind screwing it up. Medical screwed up, no Medicare. People are going to just die. Just die. Got cancer. Oh, can't help you. Yep. Good luck getting pain medication. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at. And that's going to fuck up the all those doctors that are sitting there complaining because they're not able to make $250, $500 an hour. You think you got freaking problems now? Wait until like half of your clients go away. Half of them. Because the other people that are still on Obamacare and have that, they're not going to have that anymore either. So you're cutting out, you're cutting your own throats. This is the part that gets me. Why are you killing yourself? Why are you allowing him to institute these policies? Why are you not standing up? And I'm talking to the capitalists. I'm talking to those guys on Wall Street. I'm talking to the stock market dudes. I'm talking to y'all. Y'all are supposed to be so freaking smart. You've got your bank accounts all lined up, but you don't even understand when you're cutting your own throat. If you turn the faucet so much, it's going to break. And you're right there. You're right there. I just don't understand. Anyway, that's my thing for today. I just, looking at the overall picture, I just don't understand. I just don't understand how can people be that stupid. It's amazing to me right now. The stupidity in politics, the stupidity in business. You know, I was in sales my whole life, basically. I mean, when you're selling, I used to say, I'm a good enough salesperson that I could sell a root canal to somebody that wasn't in pain. So, of course, I had x-rays and stuff like that, and I was the office manager at a dental office, but that was 1,000 years ago. But you get my point. This is not how you stay in business. This isn't going to work. You're taking yourselves down. So, anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope you agree. If you don't agree, give me some comment below. Let me know. I'm again, I used to be on the air, so I used to take live calls, and I am not afraid of a question. I have no fear of it. So anyway, y'all take it easy. Love you bunches. Thank you so much again for watching and subscribing and all that good stuff. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out. Bye.